there were some mistakes tonight, right? But what can you say about the way that you guys were able to fight back and get this big win? Now 3 straight wins.
That's who we are. We fight. That's what Coach said. You know, we went 0-2 in the first 2 games. We tied it back up, went 2-2, and now we're 3-2 because of our fight, because of our, you know, how we face adversity and how we come through and come together.
Heyo, welcome to Heed the Call, an NFL podcast. Dan Hanzus, Marc Sessler, Justin Graver on the 1s and 2s, and that is Caleb Williams on ESPN. Moments after Jake Moody, yeah, you remember him, 3rd-round pick. Moments later, did that interview with his helmet on. Just like such a kicker move. Like, I just wanted to go out there and make the kicks, and I'm proud to help the team. It's like, take the helmet off, bud. This is your moment. Mark, Jake Moody, take the helmet off, kid.
Yeah, I want to know what you look like. I want to experience you. And, you know, you're acting like you're in a downpour and you've got protective gear on. Like, this is your television moment.
That was his moment. But really, the true moment for Jake Moody, of course, was with 3 seconds on the clock. He pipes one from about 37 yards out, I want to say. And that was his 4th field goal of the game, and crucially, the one that decided it for the Bears, 25-24 over the Washington Commanders, a game that, it's one of those games, Sessler. And by the way, we're going to get into everything. We got a doubleheader, of course, Falcons-Bills we'll talk about. We got the power rankings week 7, which is going to get interesting. Are there any good teams in the league? I don't know. A coach got fired. Justin is nude right now, and he's been that way since about 11 a.m. Central Time. We'll get to that. But, yeah, this game, we'll start with this Bears-Commanders game, is like one of those games that explain why head coaches end up looking like 2-term sitting presidents by 4 months into a season. I mean, both the Commanders and Bears killing themselves with mistakes. The Bears looked like they were going to absolutely coming out of this game and us having the same conversation. This is why we can't take Chicago seriously. They never actually put themselves in position to win football games in big moments. But then Jaden Daniels on a wet night in Landover, the ball slips out of his hands. Krosky Merritt never touches it, and it sets up a kind of stunning loss for the Commanders, who fall to 3-3. The Commanders move to 3-2.
It's one of those games where you'd have to say the weather was a factor because of the condition of the footballs. But like the story to me in many ways is that we've seen this Bears team evolve and grow up a little bit this season, but the defense tonight, and part of it is Washington's inability to protect the football, but there was the Jaden Daniels interception early. There was the early Krosky Merritt fumble. These were killer turnovers. And then in a moment when it's like we're expecting Washington to make a big play and seal this game with 3 minutes to go, you're up 24-22, and another botched handoff. And because I look at Jaden Daniels, it's like you have proven to us you're too good for that to happen. That was a really unfortunate moment for them. But if you're in a game like this, if you give the ball away 3 times, Chicago, that's what's going to happen. Like they took advantage of it, and I don't necessarily see them as the better team, but in that situation, the lost real estate, the lost balls are the difference.
Yeah, and that fumble occurs with 3 minutes and 7 seconds to go in the 4th quarter. Washington has a 24-22 lead. They actually had an 8-point lead that got cut down to 6 on a DeAndre Swift touchdown reception. And the Bears go for 2. They fail. And now we get to a point where really it feels like Washington's, one completion, one Jaden Daniels scramble, one whatever away from icing the game. So when that ball hits the ground and pops right into the arms of a Bears defender for the turnover, it's pretty stunning. And to their credit, and they did it mostly on the ground, they're able to then take that ball and move it into not just field goal range, but deep into Washington territory, because I thought this is one of those games where you think you kind of know how it's going to end, and it just doesn't end the way you expected. I fully expected them to recover that fumble, not be aggressive, and settle for like a 51-yard Jake Moody field goal in poor conditions, and it would get blocked or he would hook it. But instead, they do put the kicker who's in for Santos, who was out with an injury, in a much better situation. And they did it because they could run the football. DeAndre Swift entered this game averaging 3.3 yards per carry, but he had 108 yards in this game and gave them some balance. And I thought Caleb Williams also played a pretty steady game as well, making some big throws despite all the times that the Bears continue to shoot themselves in the foot.
That was the difference because, we talked on Thursday or earlier last week about the fact that this is not like Ben Johnson's Lions team because they had not been balanced. They weren't able to run the ball. Tonight's 5.4 yards per carry, 7.7 for Swift, who had that huge run. Because I think Moody is an absolute X factor in all the wrong ways. And it was like an 18-yard run to set up what is a very makeable field goal in ill weather. And that's the game changer, because I don't know, that might not have happened at all. Like, he had a kick blocked earlier in the night. So it's, anything could happen here. And, I really thought that that Chicago, maybe I can think they snuck away a little bit with this because of the turnovers, but they did just enough. And to go do this on the road was a huge win. They're a team I see differently in the NFC if they can keep it going.
Yeah, I still can't get there in terms of trusting the Bears or seeing them as anything other than kind of middle tier fodder in the league right now. But as we'll get into it, the power rankings, it's such a big... Isn't
the whole league sort of middle tier?
Yeah, it's such a big soupy mess. It's almost like they're either, you know what the Bears are? They're either the worst best team, the worst good team, or the best bad team. They're like the Dalton line right now in a very strange, rapidly turning into kind of a strange NFL season as you try to figure out what's up and what's down. But I thought the other takeaway and what I thought we were going to be talking about before the big turnover was the Commanders stacking a win here at home, surviving, and Jaden Daniels starting to look like Jaden Daniels again. I thought he was much more mobile in this game, but the interception and that fumble kind of marred otherwise what would have been a productive and positive night for Washington. So really just a really frustrating loss for Washington. And if you remember the last time we saw these teams on the field together on that insane Hail Mary that sent both seasons in opposite directions, I would imagine as a Bears fan, if you're listening right now, congratulations, because you feel like you maybe stole one despite everything kind of working against you. Gravity was pushing against the Bears, pulling this game off, and then they catch this huge break and then cash it in. And that does feel a little bit different than, let's say, the Eberflus Bears of yesteryear. So maybe, just maybe, things are changing in a wide open NFL season.
Because that's what I'd say. When I want to view the Bears differently than I have for, at this point, 2 decades, Ben Johnson's a factor. We don't know how good Caleb Williams can be. There are some actually really good players on this team. The defense is creating problems. So put all that together, and you can see 9 or 10 wins, and that's really only year 1 under Ben Johnson. I will say for one thing for the Commanders, because you don't have Terry McLaurin. For them to be in this game where they were, you don't have Terry McLaurin, and to watch guys I thought Luke McCaffrey had a big night tonight. It was good to see him step up. Jalen Lane, who clearly was brought up in their meetings with the crew a lot because they love him. They think he's the best punt returner from the draft. He had a big 37-yard catch tonight. So you're developing these other guys around the return of Terry McLaurin, and it just doesn't change what I think about the Commanders, who also feel in that middle world to me, maybe a little higher than the Bears. It just wasn't their night.
All right, let's move to the early Monday night game, or as I call it, the fake Monday night game. Whenever it's Riddick, Orlovsky, and Fowler, it's like, okay, that's the fake one. It's like, and that's the real one. So here's the fake one. But you know what? Still an interesting game, a saucy upset, and let's get into it right now because, listen to that. Oh, is this the You're the Winner song? You're a winner. Fight for the best things you can do.
I'm convinced a sitcom from 1983 used the same song, but we'll investigate
Reach
that.
for the stars and take your vitamins. America's counting on you. Remember when we heard from Raheem Morris and he said, Bijan Robinson, this guy's the best player in the league. That was a few weeks back, and it's like, yeah, sure, the coach is saying that. I don't know. Am I starting to believe it? Because when I watch Bijan Robinson play football, I'm like, he's doing stuff right now. He's like what Saquon Barkley was last year, where it's just like nobody's doing it like him. Bijan Robinson had 170 yards rushing, including a gorgeous 81-yard scamper to the end zone. Added 68 more yards receiving. Pair him with fellow former first-round pick Drake London, who had 10 catches for 158 yards and a touchdown. And then sprinkle in some really saucy Falcons defense. Jeff Ulbrich, former Jets DC, who always gave Josh Allen troubles in those Jets-Bills battles. Well, he did it again here, holding the mighty Bills to just 2 touchdowns in a 24-14 upset win for the Falcons at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. That's a nice win, Sessy, for the Falcons. A very nice win.
Well, and I think you are someone who, and you weren't, you had a rightful, reserved approach to the Falcons for a number of years. And it's like you're waiting for these pieces to actually amount to something because you see it like on the roster. Now it's games in a row where we're starting to see that this might work. And Bijan Robinson, I was a lad when this occurred with the great Bo Jackson, the last running back to cross 230 all-purpose yards on Monday Night Football. Bijan Robinson was the next tonight. A complete difference maker. And you're right about Drake London. Like the idea that just works between him and Penix. But it's the defense, man. Like 4 sacks of Josh Allen. I think they tackle really well. They're ferocious. They dart to the ball and caused a lot of problems for a Bills team that, frankly, let's be fair, was missing a ton of guys on defense. And like Khalil Shakir is your number 1 wideout tonight. You're missing people all over the place. And they were losing more defensive players during the game, which I think all of this played into Bijan Robinson's big night, but he is a dangerous receiver too. And it's like, he can do it all. And it's kind of like, if you're going to get Bijan Robinson playing at this level, they can have signature wins like this. We were waiting for the Falcons to have a signature win. And I think that you have to look at this. Now it's 2 weeks in a row that the Bills are the victim of a signature win, but here we go.
Yeah. And we'll get to the Bills a little bit more. Yeah. The Falcons, what makes me a little bit optimistic about them for the first time in a long time is that there is an identity here. You have this superstar in Robinson that you could anchor the offense around, and what you were seeing from Penix in this game and at times this year, although it's been spotty at times, but Penix, if he can just be a complementary piece, he's not the focal point of the offense, but if he can move the ball. Now, if he throws a pick 6 to Terrell Edmonds in the final minutes of this game, which he almost did, we're having a totally different conversation, but that's why sports is weird. And that's what makes sports random and great and terrible at the same time, because he drops that potential pick 6. And instead they're able to kick the field goal to essentially ice the game. But this was a Falcons offense that went into this game average just across the board. They're 14th in yards per play, 18th in yards per carry, 10th on third down, 25th in the red zone. And then against the Bills today, they scored 21 points in the first half. They come within half a yard and a overturned review on the last play of the half of putting up 28 points. They average over 9 yards per play in the first half. They have in this game, in the first half, 335 yards of offense against Buffalo. And then for the first time in so long, the curse of John Abraham, it does seem to have lifted. They're getting after the quarterback. And if they can do that and combine that with a great running game, Tyler Algier is a really good complement to Bijan. It's all there. I mean, we feel far away from the 30-0 loss to the Panthers. At the same time, this is exactly the type of team, Mark, that you have to just keep everything in perspective, because they haven't earned our trust yet, and we need to see it over a longer stretch. But here's the best version of the Falcons, and that's enough to beat any team in the league on a good night, and we saw it here.
Yeah, I think like 3 of the 4 teams, because I'm not putting the Bills in this conversation despite some troubles. Like, we don't quite know what we're dealing with here, but when the parts are aligning, yeah. I mean, the Falcons also overcame a blocked field goal. I think Parker Romo, they're going to be in tight games, and it is clear the coaching staff does not feel like Parker Romo is going to save the day reliably. They also, Bijan Robinson on that first possession, they were lucky that what would have been a lost fumble was wiped out by a Bills penalty. I mean, it's these little tiny things that create the story we're talking about, because it was a very tight game. I was thinking like sitting here watching 2 games at the same time. First of all, my head is on fire and like darts are coming into my consciousness, but it's like, oh, the Bills are going to find a way just to win this. This is just a classic, like Josh Allen runs for 80 yards on the final drive, and like we're talking about Josh Allen, and it didn't happen. And I think that's like, this season is creating these unpredictable moments with teams that I didn't even think we'd be talking about as early or as late as middle October at this point.
Yeah, and with Buffalo, they start out 4-0, but like you said, now back-to-back losses, and the injuries are an issue. The defense is not good enough right now, and while Josh Allen and the offense is still as good as any in the league when it's on, this was a game where they were held in check. I believe they had 4 3-and-outs in this game. Allen threw 2 interceptions. It was just not good enough. And when the defense is playing as bad as it does in this game, puts so much pressure on the offense to be nearly perfect, and they weren't. And so when you look at Buffalo, it's like, this is a team, as we've talked about, that it's like you got to get to the Super Bowl. But right now, you see a lot of holes on the defense. You're not getting much at all from their draft class. They have 6 rookie defenders. 5 of them have made really no impact to this point. So there's something missing with this Bills team. And I think, obviously, Brandon Beane and Sean McDermott have to figure it out, or things could get interesting. Because, by the way, technically, they're not even in first place in the AFC East anymore.
No,
they're like the Patriots, 4-2, but the Pats have the head-to-head win, of course. So,
one thing, like they go into their bye. I do wonder, depending on some of these injuries and the way that they look at their overall team, like, do we get a surprise type of trade here in October with Buffalo adding something to the lineup? They've got to be that desperate to figure out any problems they have during a bye week. We'll see.
They're also tight up against the salary cap, which would complicate bringing in a potential high-priced veteran. But that's all stuff they have to figure it out. Their wins in the season, by the way, are teams that are combined 3-21. The 1-5 Ravens, the 0-6 Jets, the 1-5 Dolphins, the 1-5 Saints. I believe I took the 11.5 over on the Bills, and I'm starting to get nervous. We might want to check in on our over-unders. Let's flag that, Justin. Maybe we'll check in next week or the week after and see how we're doing.
It's usually not good news for us from PR front, but sure.
Right. Well, speak for yourself. I mean, you're the one that went 0-4.
Well, you cited one team that you already potentially have botched, but fair enough.
No, I feel okay. I feel okay about the Bills, just for I feel like the Bills are going to be all right. But now, getting to 12, this might be closer to an 11-6 team. But I'm not panicking. Put it that way. I would panic if I were you. Like, you're like, I don't even remember who I picked, and it's like, uh-oh. That's where I come down as a cess dog. But
please.
Yes, Justin.
Here's what I can do to help us out is I'll just check and see how we're doing. And if things are looking good, especially for you, Dan, then we'll definitely do that segment. If we look like morons, then we just can it. We know the, right. Especially if you do, part of it was the correct.
So the typical, so our typical modus operandi, if you will. Check on how I'm doing.
Right.
And we'll flow through that. That seems fair, Mark, right?
Well, and it's a little icing on the cake if Mark is flailing. That adds a little spice to the,
it's more than
the
icing.
episode as well.
It's like, it's the sugar in the cake. It's like, ooh, tasty.
Take a bite.
All right, let's take a quick break. When we get back, we dig into the news and think about it, Mark. Justin, who on the surface is a good guy, right? Celebrating a man's dismissal and his life being turned upside down. Is that really something worth celebrating? Let's think on that, and when we get back, we'll break it all down.
Okay.
All right, Mark, Bob's Discount Furniture. This is a product that I love because I don't like to leave my home at this stage of my life. I like to be hunkered down, batten down the hatches, and just cozy up, especially this time of year. So this is the place for me to get everything I need to never have to see anyone else.
I'm with you. And, at Bob's Discount Furniture, let's be real, you can get high-quality furniture in the latest styles for a fraction of what you'd pay at other furniture stores. They've got power reclining sofas, love it, with all the bells and whistles, hidden cup holders, we need that, right? Bluetooth speakers, even lights that sync with your music. One thing that I love is that they do bundles, so you can bundle a sofa and a love seat, or bundle a 4-piece bedroom set and save even more money. It's called Bundle and Save at Bob's, Dan.
For sure, Mark. And I feel like people sleep on Bob's because they hear discount and they think it's cheap furniture. But no, I can attest. I have these 2 beautiful chairs, these outdoor chairs that me and my wife just sit on, and we say, this is as far as we're going to get to off our property right now. And we just have a nice glass of wine together. We enjoy it, and it's firm, and it is not going anywhere. We know we're going to have this chairs forever. Bob's buys directly from the manufacturers, so you can save all that cash. They don't do sales. It's everyday low prices all year long, so you always know what you're going to get. See how much you can save in-store or at mybobs.com. I love this one. Have you heard of Goldbelly? It's this amazing site that I started ordering from all the time, where you can get the most iconic, famous foods from restaurants all across the U.S., and they will ship it anywhere across the country. Here's an example. So right now I got the Yankees are in the playoffs, and I'm sitting down to watch the game, and here comes a big plate of wings. And it's not just their regular buffalo wings that we got from down the street, all soggy and microwave. No, literally the buffalo wings from Anchor Bar in Buffalo, the inventor of buffalo wings. They're able to cook it, send it across the country, and I'm eating it fresh and delicious and feeling like I'm in Western New York. I'm a Terry Black's guy. Look, I'm wearing the hat. I love Terry Black's Barbecue in Austin, Texas. Same thing. Got the brisket, had it shipped over. My wife's from Texas, and we felt like we were back in her hometown. All such fun stuff, and an incredibly different type of product that you want to be involved with. So if you're looking for that perfect gift or want to impress your friends and families with an epic meal the next time you host, go to goldbelly.com and get 20% off your first order with promo code HTC. That's goldbelly.com, code HTC for 20% off your first order. All right, we're back. All right, the 3 of us sat in silence thinking about that question that I posed. Mark, your thoughts about Justin celebrating a man being fired and his dreams evaporating in over one sit down in an office?
Yeah, I think it raises, overt questions to any of us that are, sentient, almost adults. It adds nuance to Justin's character, confusing nuance, because I took him to be a caring individual for the most part, and here we are, Justin.
Let me stop you right there. It's clear that you guys didn't listen to either of the 2 episodes that I recorded already today for Music City Audible.
Well, that is crystal clear.
In the hopper for me.
I opened the first podcast by saying, before we talk about this, let's talk about the human element and acknowledge that this sucks for Callahan and every coach on the staff and all of their families who are going to have to uproot their lives. That's how I began things. So thank you very much.
Wow. Don't you? Let's give you a little blue ribbon.
Yeah. How about a round of applause, huh? Give myself a round of applause.
Put a little ribbon in your hair.
Let's hit the news.
Had to hold for applause. Okay, news.
Where is she right now?
Where? What do you mean?
Where's Amy Adams Strunk right now?
Yeah, she's at her home.
Why isn't she here?
I'm here representing her.
Oh man, what a major league ball buster that Kaharski is! I'll tell you what.
Kind of love that. What's she doing? Sipping white wine at home?
Oh, she's sipping on that Chardonnay out of a straw. Yes, that was independent Tennessee journalist Paul Kaharski, who covers the Titans beat and has for many years, asking the hard questions like, Amy Strunk, you hire all the wrong people for the Tennessee Titans. And now after you announce that Bill Callahan's son almost got tripped up on that one, Brian Callahan was fired on Monday, 6 games into his second season as coach. Why isn't she here answering questions? It is a fair question to ask, and it left Chad Brinker. Is that Chad Brinker?
That was.
I wasn't familiar with Chad Brinker before today, but isn't it great? That is the Titans president of football operations to say, well, she's at home. Imagine hiring all these people, and after like it all goes to hell, you get to just hang out in your mansion and let Chad handle it.
Wasn't there a better answer, though, to that question than I'd say she is fastidiously working on these issues right now.
Exactly.
She's extremely busy. Not she's at home. It sounds like she's got kicking her feet up on the
Maybe
easy
it's
chair.
something to aspire to. That may we all have a Chad to handle the dirty business of life. If you can get a certain level of fortune, put it that way. Anyway, Callahan finishes with a 4-19 record, including 1-5 this season with number 1 overall pick Cam Ward. You know from our show and our producer that Callahan was not a popular figure in Tennessee. Didn't seem like he had the answers. His press conferences, many times incited by Kaharski, actually, had delved into uncomfortable standoffs with the local media, and it did feel like a matter of time. I said it on the Sunday recap that this is exactly ground zero for firings, that Monday after week 6, and sure enough, the first coach goes down. It is Brian Callahan. Here is Chad Brinker. Chad, I don't know why that name is so funny to me, but it's a fucking hilarious name. Here is Chad Brinker on the dismissal of Brian Callahan. It's not funny, though. This is a man.
We were looking for growth in this football team.
Brinker!
And that's what this is about right now, is we're not seeing enough growth from this football team. We're 1-5, and we got to be better in this. And I want to acknowledge the fact that we're all frustrated. We understand that you, the fan, you're frustrated with everything that's going on. But we're doing everything we can. We will do everything we can to build a football program that you can be proud of.
Yeah, when he says you, the fan, that was a mistake. He thought Justin was the only Tennessee Titans fan, and he confused that there's 2 Justins on the Viva Los Titans podcast.
Yeah,
but
plural.
He should have said the fans
Plural.
to encapsulate both Justins. Anyway, Mark, I'd like to get your thoughts, and then we're going to clear the runway for a really just action-packed episode of Go Off King.
It had to happen. I think like being a coach these days compared to 1995 or something is you're front facing 24/7 in the media. And if you do have a little flare up with Paul Kaharski or fill in the blank, like everyone's talking about it. And he started to lose, I think, the locker room. He lost the media. He's losing games. There's nothing he's winning. There was whatever argument there was for him in theory ever had vanished probably last season. He was one of the more surprising people to bring back. And you've got this so-called precious commodity in the number 1 overall pick in the draft, who is yet another young quarterback drafted first overall dealing with coaching changes. And you've got to, if you're Chad Brinker or whoever you are, like you got to find a way to create some stability. This was an unstable, sinking ship. You had to do it, Justin. And you were talking about this since August. So this is not a surprise.
Let me just, before I clear that runway, mention that senior offensive assistant Mike McCoy will take over as interim coach. Yes, that is the same Mike McCoy who wowed us as head coach of the San Diego Chargers from 2013 to 2016. I'll also note that Brian Callahan, his father, Bill Callahan, who was the offensive line coach and a coach on the staff, also stepped down. He resigned after his son was fired. All right, Justin, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, Mark said it. This had to happen. You just had to get Cam Ward out of this situation because this whole season is about developing him. And the only thing he was developing was bad habits in this offense. And Mike Borgonzi said, the Titans general manager, if you don't know who that is, was also at the podium with Brinker, said that Mike McCoy's version of this offense is going to include changes that will help Cam Ward. And then Titans media didn't really follow up on that. But Mike McCoy will speak on Tuesday, so we'll get to hear maybe some of what those changes are. I'm a little surprised the Titans actually did this. I just thought that because they had been preaching patience all since January, and there was even a report in ESPN a couple of weeks, maybe 4 weeks ago, that the Titans had considered firing Callahan in January and decided to give him another chance. And Brinker talked about how he was a first-time head coach. They wanted to give him a chance to grow into the head coach they knew he could become, and he never became that. So it's time to move on. The season is lost. Mike McCoy is not going to come in and make this a good team. Like, that's not anyone's expectation. But you have to do something different with the offense around Cam Ward to give him a better opportunities to succeed. And he hasn't had that. And he's flashed at times, made some incredible throws and some incredible plays. And he's also made some killer mistakes. Not as bad as the Titans' previous quarterback, but still bad. And so let's get him under a new staff and see what happens, and let the first head coaching search of 2026 begin.
Yeah, the one thing that I would push back against slightly is saying that the season is lost, because the Titans were never contending this year anyway.
True.
And success when you have and difference between, let's say, your team and my struggling team is we don't have our QB of the future even on the roster, so you're just trapped in this weird purgatory / hell. You can come out of this season, even if you're not going to have a lot of wins, feeling good about the Titans, if with McCoy leading the way and some changes in their attack, maybe you get Cam in a better place than he's been so far this season. They play more competitive football. And then, they make a decision. I would imagine they're going to want to hire outside the organization at the end of the season. But who knows? Maybe McCoy really impresses them. It's unlikely. But I'll also mention that Nick Holes, another great name. Oh, you give the Titans this. They got some great names. Nick Holes.
There's a silent T in there. Holtz.
I'm not interested in the silent T. Nick Holes,
there's no
the
T
offensive...
in the name. There's a you say a T that doesn't. Sorry, I said that backwards. There's
right. But I respectfully pass on that.
Okay, fair.
Nick Holes, offensive coordinator, he's there. So you have the OC there. You have McCoy now promoted to interim coach, and we'll see if they can start going in the right direction, because
last thing on this. Firstly, just another point about how bad and uncompetitive. You said play some competitive football. That's the key to me. Is we just want to see competitive football. The Titans lead the NFL with 4 losses by 10 or more points. That's how bad they've been. But there was a little bit of good news from the Titans ticket office, who started contacting fans today.
This was good. Now, the tact is a little bit questionable, but again, Kuharski on the beat. What a ball buster.
This guy is
Major League ball buster, that Kuharski. Friend just got this, and then a screen grab. Somebody, I don't have this number saved to my phone, so I'm not sure who this is. It's Dan, not me, by the way. It's Dan from the new stadium team. You told me I'm in if Brian Callahan is fired. Is that really? Is that real?
With the exact date and time that this person supposedly said that they're in if Brian... Yes, this is real.
This isn't 8 p.m.
This isn't the only person who got a text from Dan in the Titans ticket office today. Here was another tweet.
Again, Dan S., not Dan H. Noah, it's Dan S. from the Tennessee Titans. Over 70% of seats in the new Nissan Stadium are already sold. As a past PSL holder, you're invited to our Titans House preview. This was sent at 4:09, so approximately an hour after the dismissal of Callahan. And he follows that kind of informational text up with a follow-up text, Titans part ways with HC Brian Callahan. I think the Titans released a statement saying we weren't cool with this, but Callahan was a deeply unpopular figure, and now he's gone, and let's see if your Titans can have a little...
I want to get in those DMs of Amy Adams Strunk and see what's going on over there on the palatial...
Strunko?
Yeah.
Do you think Strunko even knows what happened here?
Well,
I think this was her decision, and Borgonzi and Brinker are taking the... I don't know if it's a fall, but the credit maybe. But
that's not a good thing.
This was a huge point of contention in the press conference, and there was actually a pretty hostile... I mean, you heard it.
It's a concern if you think it was her decision. Like, it's possible that it wasn't, and she's floating in the abyss.
I like the idea of Strunko in her kidney-shaped heated pool on her 4th boxed wine, Carlo Rossi boxed wine, and someone is just reminding her that she had fired a man earlier in the day, and she's like, "Oh, for heavens be!"
I did that. You got him. I couldn't.
Oh,
have
heavens to
done that.
Betsy! Did I really?
Like, obviously
What
she's
time is it?
involved in the decision, but it's different if Brinker and Borgonzi go to her and say, "Hey, we got to make a change,"
Are you talking about
versus
Chad
her being
Brinker?
like, Mike Vrabel's coming to town next week. I don't want this guy coaching my team against him. Get him out of here, which very well could be what happened here.
She's like, why would I fire a man in September? It's like,
Yeah, I don't
it's actually
understand.
October. It's not that those aren't 1 month.
Oh,
September was the
tarnation.
previous month.
Does that mean I need to replace him? No, ma'am. Chad Brinker's on it. Oh, excellent. You send Chad my regards.
I love that little Chad.
You send
Got a nice
Chad over
jawline.
here. You tell Chad I want to have a lunch with him. I want to thank him for all the work he's done. Thank you, Chad. You send
is
that
a
boy some
serious show.
flowers.
Remember in the old days when all of that would just be removed from the podcast and no one would ever hear it?
Yes, I do.
All right. Moving on. So now that Callahan's done, here's Mike McDaniel. He's like, shit. This is happening now? Okay. Stay alive, stay alive, stay alive, stay alive. The Dolphins are coming off another disappointing loss, this one in the last second to the Chargers. And McDaniel, in addition to dealing with the frustration of the last second loss, finds out, like the rest of us, minutes after the game, his quarterback steps in front of the podium and essentially says that the circus tent is up. In the locker room, guys are not showing up to players-only meetings. Guys are showing up late to players-only meetings. And it was kind of a strange move for ostensibly the leader of the team to talk about how no one's respecting the leaders of the team. And also that reflects poorly on the head coach, who is very close, you would imagine, to getting his own pink slip. McDaniel addressed Tua's surprising comments on Monday.
Regardless of an intent and, what was on Tua's mind, after a loss as the franchise quarterback, that's not the forum to displace that. I think he knows that now. I do honestly believe it was not, there's no ill intention, but you're talking about, I think kind of a misguided representation of player orchestrated film sessions. And, the bottom line is no one's going to be happy and always is looking for reasons for failure to succeed. So you're trying to look for reasons that, you can attribute to losses. And there's heavy as the crown of being a franchise quarterback. I think, what I do know is that he's directly communicated with a lot of guys, starting with last night, and that's what teammates do.
Okay, he speaks in a flat, monotone cadence. McDaniel, it's the cadence that led Rex Ryan to call him, I believe it was Nerd Boy.
Nerd Boy.
I believe, yes, Nerd Boy. But I'm going to use my coach speak.
Genius guy, whatever the hell he is, Nerd Boy.
I'm going to use my PhD in coach speak to tell you that that's a pissed off Mike McDaniel. Like, he is pissed off that his quarterback would put this on his plate at a time when the team is and the organization's kind of in crisis. And I guess I actually admire, and maybe it's a little bit of like they could fire you, but they can't eat you type mentality. That McDaniels is flashing here. He's like, I'm going to be critical of Tua here because I'm going to keep my dignity even if I'm heading out the door right now. And that was a shitty thing for my quarterback to do. So, I'm going to give McDaniel some pop there.
I'm with you because I think McDaniel, he's had to overtly, and it started on the plane ride to the Dolphins facility where he created videos specifically talking about he was going to partner with Tua, had 100% belief in him when the owner was looking at other quarterbacks like Deshaun Watson and everyone was looking. The previous coach, Brian Flores, apparently had talked down to Tua to some degree about his talent. And in comes Mike McDaniel and he supports him. And I agree with what he said. I don't think he's a nerd boy. I think no matter how his voice cadence is, I think he's right. Like if you're the quarterback and you're seeing this from what are essentially, it sounds more like not coach run meetings, but player run meetings and player film sessions. You're the quarterback. Like if they're showing up late or dodging stuff that they should be doing to get better when they're a bad football team right now, you're the guy that we are paying a ton of money to rally the troops and speak truth to your teammates and get them there on time.
That's why it's so odd, right?
It's on Mike McDaniel to some degree, some of this stuff, but it's like he's right there. Like that wasn't the place for Tua to do it. And Tua's a pretty measured speaker typically, so it wasn't like, oh, here he goes again. But I didn't think that didn't help any of this mess at all.
Yeah, and I think Tua probably, as he's stepping off the podium, was thinking to himself, man, I wish I had that one back, because it doesn't reflect well on Tua. I mean, that's and I don't think what he said was meant to make McDaniel look bad, even though it did, or make himself look bad, which kind of did. But it just speaks to the frustration of being on a losing team when there's so much negativity now closing in from all corners. And this is the type of stuff that happens. Like, it's one of the weird things, having covered the league now for all these years. You actually see these teams dying. Like, you see them as organisms taking on battle damage and then falling to one knee, and then they keel over eventually. And that's what happened with the Titans this morning, and what's happening with the Dolphins. And you see it. It's usually not some one-shot death blow. It's like death by 1,000 cuts. And they're probably at 998 cuts right now in Miami.
Yeah, and like as you said over the weekend, like for shows like this, if you get a good McDaniel clip, play it, because there may not be that many more.
In other news, there are infinite clips of Mike Tomlin speaking, because he's been the Pittsburgh Steelers coach since 1912. But usually you don't get a Tomlin quote, or really quote from any coach in the modern NFL. This isn't like Jerry Glanville for the 1987 Houston Oilers just shitting on somebody in his own division, like the good old days. You don't see it a lot anymore. You don't see Sam Weish, picking up the PA microphone and yelling at the fans to clean up their act. It's just everything's a little more tucked in the modern day NFL. So I appreciate it when Mike Tomlin goes out of his way to shit on the Browns, but I also understand why a Browns fan dealing with their own 998 stab wounds don't want to be involved with what's happening, and don't need the 4-1 Steelers head coach to be piling on. But Tomlin did offer some criticism of the decision-making of the Cleveland Browns tied to Joe Flacco being traded within the division.
To be honest, it was shocking to me. Andrew Berry must be a lot smarter than me or us, because it doesn't make sense to me to trade a quarterback that you think enough of to make your opening day starter to a division opponent that's hurting in that area. But that's just my personal feelings.
And Mark, like that's usually that head coach keeps in house, or maybe like over drinks at the scouting combine in the Westin Hotel, might shit on Andrew Berry. But like to say in the press conference means that Tomlin was probably pretty pissed about that, and he spoke on it.
Yeah, I mean, and you know what? The Browns deserve to be called out. He was the perfect person to do it. They've owned that team in Pittsburgh against Cleveland for 20 plus years. The Browns are in their 9th rebuild, and watching the Browns, and I get it. We've tried to be positive. I have, about the rookie class and what they drafted and the fact that it's a youth movement. But among the teams that are in the bottom 5 of the league right now, they are moving into the mode where I don't see what the vision is. They are trying to escape future cap hell. They are not competitive. And I think it did go against code a little bit. And I think that's what Tomlin's referring to trade a capable quarterback. I'm not saying that Flacco is lights out, but he's going to go in and change what the Bengals might be from a veteran quarterback angle. It changed what the Steelers have to deal with, and it goes against code a little bit. Like when Belichick traded Bledsoe to the Bills, it stood out as an odd, atypical type of trade, because you don't do that too often inside your own division. And I thought this kind of like said two things. The Browns are giving up, and we're not afraid to play by any code because we're also the team that signed Deshaun Watson and annoyed 31 other owners and organizations.
Yeah, and if you just look ahead at the Steelers' schedule, he's saying this because they're going to be in Cincinnati in Week 7 on Thursday night, and then they have the Bengals again in the middle of November, so they're going to get Flacco. And actually, when you think about it, when we talked about the last year when or actually, no, it was like 2 weeks ago, we talked about how Tomlin mentioned about the Colts last year, and he's like, let's not hurt Anthony Richardson because we don't want them to put Flacco in the game. Like, he has a lot of respect for Joe Flacco, apparently, Mike Tomlin. Yeah. So, like, he thought that, we dodged Flacco because now he's benched and he's behind Dylan Gabriel and who knows who else he was behind in the Browns pecking order after that he was sat. Now he's right back in the mix of things. So Tomlin's just feeling good about himself right now. I think he's looking at this AFC and he's like, we kind of suck a little bit deep down, but God, we might be better than most of these motherfuckers. I think that's what he's looking around right now. He's looking at his own division. He's like, we're not great, but is anyone here great? Isn't it funny how it works out? Like Aaron Rodgers, this is like his 4th or 5th choice. And it feels like a perfect spot for him now. Maybe Minnesota would have been better, but yeah.
It's worked out.
Isn't that great? Isn't that great for everybody? In other coaches on the ropes news, this is outside the NFL sphere, but I figure let's talk about it. It's the Monday Night Show, Mark. Bill Belichick. It's an absolute shit show at UNC. They've been blown out by any program that they face. That's, what is it called? The Power something? What is it? Justin, help me out with this. Power 4 now. It used to be the Power 5, but anytime UNC has played a Power 4 team, they've been absolutely obliterated. The whole idea that Bill was going to come with the Godfather, Lombardi, and they were going to be able to go toe-to-toe with these teams, and that is not the case. And there was a report out there that a buyout could be looming for Belichick, not even halfway through year 1 as the coach of UNC, and it prompted both the school and Belichick to release statements last week, and then today Belichick coming off, I think, a bye for UNC to speak on the whole thing. Let's just check in with Bill, man. What's going on with Bill?
If we must.
Just some of the reports out last week about my looking for a buyout and trying to leave here and all that. It's just categorically false. There's zero truth to any of that. Glad I'm here. We're working towards our goals and the process.
Yeah, I mean, your thoughts on this, Mark? Because I know Belichick is an important figure to you. Do you think he's the coach of UNC this time next year?
No. Not at all. Whenever I hear categorically false and we're all releasing
that means
statements,
categorically true whenever that happens.
He will. I'd stake a claim, whatever that means, coming from me. But like I absolutely thought it aligned with a lot of stuff out there when the reports came out that he was going to buy out and not finish the season. Like, number one, you factor in age. Like, does he really want to rebuild a pretty moribund college program where you're going to have a bunch of people probably leaving through the portal versus coming to this team? This is not the one thing. There's some good stuff on The Athletic about all this, and that Lombardi and Belichick from the very beginning kind of assumed that all these star players were just going to run to them because it was Bill Belichick. That's not how college football works. They've been tagged with not treating it like college football, but like the pros, and that they have been aloof and unapproachable. And not treating these aren't kids per se like school children, but they are non-pro professional players who need to be treated differently than the New England Patriots. And the other job that Belichick has to do is to recruit. When you have a bye week or you've got downtime, you are churning the recruiting process nonstop. And then there was something out there about the fact that, like, when he had downtime, he's out on his boat with Jordan or whatever. So it's like, I mean, listen, this is a grinder's job in many ways. And Belichick, it's like, do you want it? I don't sense that you do. You thought you'd come in and change this program. They are a massive apocalyptic disaster to the eye. They're an eyesore. And how long will it take to dig out from that? And is this a guy that wants to do it? Negative.
that's the other part of it, because I read that article too, and like I am far from a authority in college football, but Justin, jump in as you see fit. But part of this whole new era of college football is like the idea of rebuilding a program is not something that takes years necessarily. There are shortcuts to be had through the portal program, and you're expected, especially if you're the highest paid state employee in North Carolina, and you have your GM, the consigliere, Lombardi, getting the highest paycheck for any GM in a college program, to be doing exactly what you're saying and bringing in a ton of top talent and taking this team from an afterthought to a potential contender. And yet they view it as, well, send this out to the season ticket holders and the alumni that this is a long road of a rebuild. And it's like, I think you're in the wrong business, old man. And that's part of the problem here too.
I think there's two sides to it, because I think it's not that easy when you're coming in to a team that, North Carolina was good and then they fell off, and that's why they bring in Bill Belichick. It's not like there was a huge track record of established success. It's not like somebody's going in and replacing Kirby Smart or Nick Saban, right? So I think there is, like, it takes more than one season. You're not just going to come in and immediately be the greatest NFL head coach of all time transported into college football. At the same time, they're getting what I would call embarrassed on a fairly weekly basis. So I would have expected better than that. It's almost like what we talked about with the Titans. Like, be competitive if you're not there yet. And they're not even really competitive right now. But I also do think it's going to take a year or 2 or 3 before they are, like, competing for a spot in the college football playoff.
What I didn't like about that article, though, on The Athletic was their attitude. Not the fact that this needed to happen right away. Just like, are you really working with these student athletes to your highest ability and availability? I didn't get the sense that was the critique seemed to suggest otherwise, and that's sources. So
yeah, and to use another high profile NFL figure, Deion Sanders. Now, he took a different path. He was at Jackson State. He gets the job at Colorado. They're 4-8 of their first season, 1-8 in their conference. And then they have just an influx of talent, and Deion kind of electrifies the program, and they go 9-4 the next year. And, that's now leveled off a little bit. But I think that's what UNC expects from the Bill Belichick tenure. But yeah, anything short of giving him or him quitting within a year is like, why did we do this in the first place? You have to have a little more patience, but he also has to have that dog in him. And Lombardi, I read another thing. Lombardi's like letting everyone know that he uses a typewriter. And it's like, dude, could you feel more disconnected from the modern role that you're supposed to be handling right now? Like,
well, and we
Tom Hanks?
Right. And we, as editors back in the day, worked with a lot of people that went on to take football jobs after, and Lombardi was one of them. And I would just say wasn't not a lot of interaction, but the ones that I had, not the coziest and kindest individual I've met in terms of like, let me help a young guy through this process. That's not how those phone conversations of editing those articles would often go. And I think some of the critique is that when agents and other people have reached out to speak to him, that he's a little bit aloof. And I don't think that's you haven't mastered this business yet. To your point, it's not pro football. It's a different world.
All right, let's move on. We touched on this on Sunday night, but Lions safety Brian Branch set off a little mini melee at the end of the Lions Chiefs game. He refused to shake Patrick Mahomes' hand, and then Juju Smith-Schuster got in his face a little bit and held his hand out, and then he whacked Smith-Schuster in the head, and that led to a big showdown. Branch was suspended 1 game for his role in Sunday night's altercation. Here was Dan Campbell after the game, already pissed that the Lions got thoroughly outplayed by the Chiefs, and then had to be answering questions about Branch being a dumbass after the game.
I love Brian Branch, but what he did is inexcusable, and it's not going to be accepted here. It's not what we do. It's not what we're about. I apologize to Coach Reed and the Chiefs, and and Schuster. That's not okay. We that's not what we do here, and it's not going to be okay. He knows it. Our team knows it, and so that's not what we do.
And not a great thing. Not a great situation for a Detroit team that's dealing with a lot of injuries in their secondary. They are scheduled to play Monday night against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Branch is appealing or plans to appeal the suspension, according to ESPN's Jeremy Fowler. But don't hold your breath. The league does not like this is their signature telecast in primetime, the number one watched television program in America. That level of, disrespect of the sport and all that sportsmanship and just the general energy of it was a very negative way to end the telecast. And 345 don't like that. So expect Branch to miss that game.
Right. And one game is a light suspension. I don't know why you'd even plan to appeal it, because clearly your own head coach and the Lions organization feel that you should face some consequence for it. But you are right. It is coming at the wrong time. DJ Reed out, Terry and Arnold, Vontae Maddox, Kirby Joseph. These guys are all banged up. And that's part of the reason. It's one reason why the Chiefs thrived the way they did against that defense. So you also hurt your team. You hurt your team.
And speaking of injuries, two quick ones to report here. Rams wide receiver Puka Nacua, the NFL's leader in catches, suffered an ankle sprain. And according to Rap Sheet and Garafolo, he's likely to miss some time. Rap Sheet reported on Monday it would make sense for Nacua to be out next week against the Jaguars. The Rams then have a bye after that where they can regroup and assess. It sounds like a high ankle sprain the way the wording is there. And then the New York Jets, as if things couldn't get worse for the winless Jets. Adam Schefter reports an MRI revealed that Garrett Wilson hyperextended his knee, and he's expected to miss time, potentially up to a couple of weeks. I guess the only positive to take out of it is it wasn't more serious than a hyperextension. That was a bit of a concern going into Monday, but Wilson is out. Now, I do not know who Justin Fields or Tyrod Taylor is going to throw to on that offense if you take Garrett Wilson out of it. I believe it is not too early to start having concerns about 0-17 and this Jets team. I think it could be that bad, and I believe that Aaron Glenn, if he doesn't. Put it this way, Aaron Glenn, for the first time yesterday during that game, and then after the game, I'm like, he might be in trouble. So Aaron Glenn might be a one-and-done candidate. And that's crazy after all the optimism in the summer, but that's also very New York Jets. They have to find a way to play respectable football and get out of the laughingstock business, or I would imagine ownership could have
We're the freaking New York Jets, so we're built for this shit.
Itchy trigger finger. Yes, those are more innocent times. Let's take a break, and when we get back, we're going to do some power ranking. Oh, Mark, the seasons, they are a-changing, and fall weather changes fast. Hot, cold, wet, windy, sometimes all at the same time. True Work is performance workwear built like it matters, because it does.
Dead on, founded by a trade professional who was tired of, we get it, wet, heavy gear weighing him down. True Work set out to make workwear that keeps pros comfortable, capable, and ready for whatever the day throws at them. Over 50,000 five-star reviews from pros in every trade and every climate. I received, Dan, the M3 Whoopee hoodie. Wind-resistant, insulated, very comfortable. Walking around the streets here, people are coming up to me. Where did you get that? What's it about? Why do you look so good?
Wow, that's cool. Nobody comes up to me ever. But I also went on the site and I got the Tower Parka. I wanted to get something that looked like something Liam Gallagher would wear on the Oasis reunion tour. And instead I have that, but also something where if the podcasting thing doesn't work out, Mark, and we have to get our hands dirty, I could go out there fully weatherproof and insulated, designed for cold, wet job sites. I also got the work pants, the T2 work pants. For the first time in too long, Mark, I've truly felt like a man in this outfit, and I'm going to continue to buy these products as a result.
It has that effect.
Upgrade your day with workwear built like it matters. Get 15% off your first order at truework.com with code HTC. That's TRUEWERK.com. All right, we are back. Welcome. It is time for the Week 7 edition of the Heed the Call Power Rankings, the only power rankings that matter in our business. Marc Sessler, how you feeling about this exercise? I feel like it's getting harder week by week because all the teams that we want to install as the tier 1 big dogs, it's hard to really find that group right now.
There's a show that I watched a lot a couple years ago. Alec Baldwin narrates this incredible National Geographic special called Journey to the Edge of the Universe. And it starts on Earth, but you just get farther and farther out to deep space. And they take you through the Jupiter moon of Europa and nebula scenarios and black holes and sunken star systems. That's where I feel like we are with this exercise, because it was clear. And I will say this week was kind of because for me, this is my virgin voyage and really doing this on a weekly basis. It felt like I took 3 chocolate mushroom edibles, and then it was now rank these teams. That's where I'm at this point. But I tried my best.
Bud. Heavy is the crown.
The number one, according to Dan Hanzus power rankings today.
Thank you, Paul Rudd.
It's a Dan Hanzus shout out.
He's not mentioning my name, so I feel like I have some ground to make up here.
Paul Rudd. It is it's a tough gig, Mark. I remember I had several appearances on the Pat McAfee show.
You did?
Where McAfee would really come hard after me, and I'll just say, again, just sitting you down and giving you the encouragement that you need as a rookie. Stand strong, stand by everything that you go with, because once you start backpedaling, you are a wounded animal in this game. So that's, as we go into week 7, please stand by your choices.
I will, because that is one thing. I spent a lot of time on these, and when I turn them into Justin, you're kind of moving stuff around, but it's I feel good about them, and I kind of think that you've got to know you got to be ready for what's coming up next too. And I've tried to look at it from before and forward and the present day.
Very
Past,
good.
present, future.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
and with
balance.
With Farbic hanging over your shoulder too. There's a lot of pressure in this game. Let's head to, without further ado, these are the combined power rankings of Mark, myself, Justin, and Connor Orr, of course. And there they are. Can you believe it? You don't even need, this is the state of the NFL, this weird, wacky 2025 season. You don't even need a winning record to be number 1 in the power rankings right now. And I suspect, not that any other power rankings matters, I suspect we won't be the only ones that have the Kansas City Chiefs sitting at number 1. Me and Connor have KC at 1. Mark and Justin have them at 2. Number 2, they're up 5 spots. So the Chiefs, off that win over the Lions, move all the way up to number 1 because the other teams lost footing. Not the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They continue to win. Now, here's a big discrepancy, Mark. I have the Bucs at number 7 in the power rankings. Okay. Wow. Which is it's a nice place to be, number 7. But, and thank God for the old Zeuser. Because I don't believe in a world where the Bucs are the best team in football right now. I've watched all their games. You have them at number 1. Connor has them at 2. Justin has them at 1. I take all comers on this. And this is maybe you could say they should be in the top 5. I get it. But if not for me, they're the number 1 team in football, and I'm not there. Clearly not. So go ahead. What do you have to say about this?
I would counter that by saying that you're working with 3 other football professionals who have them ranked, as you mentioned, 1, 2, and 1. You have them down at 7. So either you are operating in genius mode, or you're a little behind on the Bucs. I don't want to use those words negatively, but 7 feels a little unrich for what they've done, who they are.
What the Bucs have done is win. They have found ways to win. Many times in far less than dominant fashion, they've needed 4 like last minute drives
with injuries, but yeah.
Needed or
everybody's got
executed to
injuries.
perfection.
Yeah, sure. Of course. I mean, that's why to me they're in tier 1. But I don't see them as a dominant team, and I see them as a team that, almost every week they can, things go a little bit different. Put it this way. This team could be, I'm not going to say 1-5, but they could be 3-3 just as easily with just a little touch of fate jumping in.
Like our number
direction.
1 team.
Exactly. I think the Chiefs could easily be 5-1 themselves, but they're not. But anyway, that's interesting, and I'll sleep with that tonight and think about how I was alone. It's weird to be alone on the island in this segment, but I'm going to live with it for now. And if they continue to win, I'll continue to march them up. The Lions, they fall, as we said, to the Chiefs, and they fall 2 spots in our rankings to number 3. The Colts, they win. Not overly convincingly. They have a lot of injuries they're dealing with, obviously, as well. But they keep winning. They're 5-1, and they move up 1 spot to number 4 in our rankings. Mark, Justin, and Connor all have them at 4th. I have them at 6th. The Bills, coming off that disappointing Monday night loss to the Falcons, they drop. I have them at 5. Mark has them at 5. Justin has them at 5. Connor has them at 5. We are in lockstep, down 3 spots, the Bills at number 5. The Seahawks are up to number 6 in the power rankings after another win, this time over Jacksonville on the road. The Rams, they squeeze by the Baltimore Ravens and move up 2 spots to number 7. And the Packers are another big discrepancy here. I have the Packers at number 3. But not in lockstep with the gang. Mark has them at 10. Connor has them at 9. Justin has them at 9. And ain't that interesting? I mean, it's really for me, like, do I look at the Packers as a stone cold top 3 team? No, but I can't really make a case for any other team to have that spot over them. The Rams I had at 4, so they would be the closest, but and the Bills 5. But yeah, like the Bills losing tonight really jacked things up a little bit.
I think so too. But you are like when you go on like a guy trip, and like everyone's staying at a Airbnb together, and there's always one guy that shows up like late at night or the next morning. That's you right now. You are far afield from the rest of this group, and so I hope it works
feels
out
good,
for
though.
you.
You know what?
Too quick.
It feels dangerous, and I like it. I'm feeling dangerous, like Baker Mayfield. Ironically, who I buried in tier 1.
You guys are in cahoots. Yep.
Let's move to tier 2.
2 quick notes before we move on, just to point out because it's fun. Mark and I had the exact same 1 through 6, which I don't think that's really happened yet this year. And secondly, all of us having the Bills at 5. Spoiler alert, that's the only team that we are 100% aligned on this week.
We gave this the name, by the way. It's our Connect 4.
Oh, right.
1 Connect 4 in week 7. All right, let's move to tier 2. All right, we have the Eagles down 6 spots to number 9. I have them the lowest at 10, Mark at 9, Justin and Connor at 7. They're down 6 spots, struggling the last couple of weeks, back-to-back losses. The Broncos,
biggest drop of the week, by the way.
Biggest drop of the week. Wow.
That makes sense.
The Broncos, very unimpressive, at least on the offensive side of the ball against the Jets. But, thinking about that game some more afterwards, like Peyton played that game, especially in the second half. Like, I'm going to take the air out of the ball here. I'm not going to do any of my customary downfield passing. I'm just going to, I know the Jets don't have it in them to beat us. So we're going to play very conservative and let our defense win the game. And that's exactly what happened. So I'm going to give them a little bit of a pass there. And they
don't dazzle the viewer. I just find them to be, I think they're a very solid team, but like, I don't run to the television set to observe what they're up to.
Yeah, I think they have their best football ahead of them still. I really do. Because I think they can be a fun team to watch on offense with Sean Payton. And they've shown that when they do open up their air attack. But they've been inconsistent, that's for sure. And yet they're number 10 in our power rankings. Number 11, the Steelers, begrudgingly, we're starting to move them up the board. They're up 4 spots. Mark and I have them at 14. Connor has them in the top 10, Justin at 12, so they sit at 11. The Niners, conversely, they're going the other direction. Here we are again with a big discrepancy, Sessler. I don't see how. I have them at 18. And it's not the power standings, it's the power rankings. Like, I look at the Niners and I see a deeply flawed, injury destroyed team right now that can absolutely be beat by any of the teams that I have above them on the list and a few behind them. You have them at number 8. Like, how is this version of the Niners a top 8 team, a tier 1 team?
I think they've survived through terrible circumstances, and they've survived inside their own division. And, you've got 3, 4, and 2 teams. And I agree that they don't strike fear into the heart, but it's a little bit about the fact that they've done it so banged up, as banged up as any team in the NFC. It's like, what is next? I'm not basing this on what's next, but I think that they've shown me more than some of these other teams that I don't trust. I trust them more.
Fair enough. Up next in our Twilight Zone at number 13 is the New England Patriots. I have them at 11, the highest in the group. I really like this Patriots team, and I think they got a chance here. Mark has them at 12, Connor at 15, Justin 13. They're up 3 spots this week. The Chargers, they survive against the Dolphins and stay right where they are at 14. The Commanders, yes, I was all excited. I was going to have the Commanders in the top 10. Everything was going to be nice and clean. And then they blow the Bears game tonight. And instead, I have them at 12. Mark has them at 15. Justin 16. Connor 16, down 3 spots. Number 16, the Jaguars. We try to believe in you, Jaguars, but you let us down. And as a result, you fall 3 spots to number 16 in the power rankings. Tier 3. Okay, this is where you're a little bit on the edge of things. The Falcons. How about the Falcons? Up 4 spots to number 17 after knocking off the Bills. Falcons fans probably think they deserve to be in tier 2 after that game. I understand it. But I think as a group, we're like, we need a little more before we give you that type of pop. The Bears steal one. I'm a little surprised here that we didn't give the Bears a little more love, but 17, 18, 17, and 18 are respective voting, so they move up 1 spot to 18.
It wasn't the most impressive win when the opponent turns the ball over as many times as they did.
No, I agree.
18's fine.
I hear you. They not overwhelming the performance, but they got the W. Move up 1 spot. The Vikings on bye, down 1 spot. I can live with that. Nothing irresponsible there. Nothing for Farbuck and his team to sniff around. The Cowboys. Farbuck. I was all set to put the Cowboys maybe in the Twilight Zone at 13, maybe even sneak them into the top 12, but then they can't find a way against the Panthers. The defense stinks out the joint again. So instead, we clock them in at 20, down 3 spots. The Texans are down 1 spot to 21. The Panthers, okay, the Panthers are up to 3-3. They got a couple impressive wins under their belt, but we're not buying in quite yet, especially not Sessler, who has them at number 25. He has them as a tier 4 team.
Little harsh. I'll examine my method on that one, but I don't have a problem with it. I don't think there's that big of a difference between 22 and 25 in today's NFL.
Okay. All right, a little bit of a cop out there.
I'm learning to finesse any sort of critique. I finesse it verbally.
But in the power rankings, every spot matters. You know, if you're telling us it doesn't matter where I put them within these 4 spots, it's telling me that you're not putting in the work that you're saying you're putting in.
25th matters, and that's where I had them.
Okay. Number 23 is the New York Giants. And again, I'm really impressed by the restraint of our little big blue boys, Connor and Mark. Mark, who is blowing up our text supposedly on we give Mark the night off on Thursday, and we're just getting these sea poems about how much he loves the Giants. And yet, at the break of dawn, somehow there's a purity and cleanliness of mind, and he has them where they belong at number 21. I thought you were going to have them at 6 or 7 coming off.
I operate out of self-control, wisdom, logic, and world experience.
That's it. That is it, Sessler. I love that. Good answer. Connor has him at 25. What?
That's surprising, right?
Connor, man, sometimes I swear to God, he just does with it. He just f***s with us on purpose.
I think so.
Yeah, they're up 3 spots to 23. The Ravens keep losing, keep
Connor
falling
just
in the
says
rankings.
crazy stuff.
Down to 24 in the power rankings. Let's move to tier 4, the tier you do not want your team to be in. And let's see, the Cardinals, they cannot pull it out against Indianapolis. They don't have their quarterback in the lineup. Kyler Murray's down potentially for multiple weeks, and they're down 2 spots to 25. The Bengals, they have a better effort with Flacco, but they lose again. They're up 1 spot to 26. The Raiders finally win, up 1 spot. The Saints move up 1 spot to 28. The Dolphins are up 1 spot to 29. Reality is setting in for the Browns because the defense isn't quite good enough to swing games, and the offense can't move the ball. So as a result, they are down and back into the 30s, down 6 spots. The Titans get whooped by the Raiders, so they stay at 31, and the Jets remain winless. And there's another Connect Four, by the way, Connor.
Yeah.
Justin. So there were 2 Connect Fours.
Is
all
there?
4 of us had
Yeah,
the
the
Jets.
Jets. We all
at
agree
number
they're the worst team in
32
football.
That's a
in
typo.
the
I
power
had him at
rankings.
31, so that's not right.
Now it's too late. This is the record. I'm sorry,
But
Justin.
I can't have 2 teams at 32, though. What does it say my Titans rating is? I can't even
30.
remember.
31. 30. And you have the Browns
31.
at 31. That works. That's
No,
it. Those are your.
That's
They went to
not what I
press. It went to
Right.
press.
Okay.
It's
That's
like
not
when
what I
Mike
meant
Lombardi
to
is
do.
on his typewriter. It's like I can't change it.
You can't
I
undo
had
it.
the Titans at 32, and I was going to make a whole thing about how the team that fires their head coach first and has
No, you
lost the
didn't.
most 10-plus point deficit games should be the worst team in
You
the
did
league.
it though.
Yeah, but
Because
you don't
how
have
many-
a little thing because
We're looking
you
at it
put
right
in
here. You
print
had the
here,
Titans
right?
at 30.
Yeah.
So
The Jets lost
30.
to the Broncos by 2 points. The Titans
Okay.
lost to the Broncos by
Great.
8 points. So that's a pretty good comparison point there to see who's better.
sure, but you have them at 30. It says right here.
I'm going to change this by the time our audience sees it.
You can't change it because
Well,
now
I'll
we're
change
talking
the
about
social
it.
graphic that goes out at least.
Can't do that either. This is we're gonna have to pull rank here, Mark. I think we're in agreement. It's Heed the Call with Dan Hanzus and Marc Sessler. And once we go live on the show like this, these are the rankings.
It's
This is what
editorial
happens.
integrity, Justin. It just simply sits right there. It's anchored to editorial integrity.
This is what happens when I'm trying to make these graphics during the show. Whatever.
Right. That's obviously that sounds frustrating, but we love what you do for us and the program, and we're very happy for you on this day. That Titans
me
helmet's
too.
spinning a little bit faster behind you. Congratulations.
Thanks. Your team was the first team to fire their head coach.
Callahan
Congrats.
is dead. Long live Callahan.
We root for easily the 3 worst teams in American pro football.
They've combined for 2 wins in 6 weeks.
It's pretty crazy, man. All right. Good stuff. Wednesday, end around Wednesday. Our buddy Sheil is going to join us. Can't wait, from the Ringer. And we're going to do a fun little deep dive on the panic index facing teams across the NFL spectrum. So make sure you're there for that. Check out patreon.com/heed the call. New content going up there every week. Big announcement. Hit the announcement horn, by the way, Justin.
Which one? Or all of them? I like doing all of them.
I don't know. That's your call.
Okay. How about this one?
Back by. All right, back. Back by popular demand, the Friday Fun Show will be returning to the Patreon on a monthly basis during the season. It might not even be on a Friday. I don't know. Maybe it won't. But isn't that kind of fun too? Wouldn't that be zany? But the Friday Fun Show, our fun kind of rundown of things, pop culture, news, current events, dead celebrities, whatever catches our fancy. We will have that back on a monthly basis during the regular season and through the playoffs before it returns on a weekly basis in the off season. So you have that, and I won't say the other. I won't say in exactly what's coming, but there's a new Marc Sessler offering percolating in the distance
word for it.
and could be landing in about a month or so.
Yeah.
That is going to be must-see Patreon content. So we continue to churn out original content. We'd love you to check it out. Patreon.com/heed the call. Mark, the last word goes to you on this Monday night.
I want to say one quick thing about the Friday Fun Show, because I think it's spilled over into everything that we do, that it was such a joy and ease to make. And we get to, it's not just celebrity deaths, it's investigations into celebrity deaths. And we, we take things to new territory. And so, of course, we'll bring back things like that. And it never really went away. It just took a little bit of a nap. Mm-hmm. Now it's awoken.
The dirt nap. But now it's crawling out of the grave.
Yes.
And we're going to hose it down.
Always.
Put it in some clothing, like Encino Man. All right.
That's the plan.
Enough. Thanks, everybody. You're the best. We'll see you on Wednesday. Till next time, do what you must. Heed the call.